Hello everyone. Welcome back to my channel. Today I have a very special and powerful story to share with you all. It's the story of one of the most brilliant minds in the world, Stephen Hawking. His life is a true inspiration, and his journey teaches us that no matter what happens, we can overcome challenges and achieve great things. While you listen, pay attention to the new vocabulary words and phrases you hear. This is a great chance to practice your English listening skills. Stephen's story is not just about science. It's about the power of perseverance, intelligence, and the incredible strength of the human spirit. So, let's dive into this amazing story, and remember to enjoy the journey. Stephen William Hawking was born on January 8, 1942, in the city of Oxford, England. Now, this was a very special year because it was exactly 300 years after the famous Italian scientist Galileo Galilei passed away. Galileo was a genius who changed the way people thought about the universe. And Stephen, born in this very year, would go on to do something similar, changing the world with his ideas. Stephen was born into a family of thinkers. His father, Frank Hawking, was a well-known researcher in the field of medicine, and his mother, Isabel Hawking, was a teacher. They were both very supportive of Stephen and his siblings. From a very young age, Stephen was encouraged to think deeply and explore the world around him. His family valued education and believed in the power of knowledge. As a child, Stephen was curious. He loved to ask questions and wanted to learn everything he could. He was always asking why or how about things that most people didn't even think about. His curiosity was endless. But, just like many children, he had some challenges at school. At school, Stephen was not the most popular student. He was quiet and didn't always get along with the other kids. The other children called him Albert or Einstein because they saw him as the smart kid who was always thinking. Stephen didn't mind the nickname. In fact, he liked it because it reminded him of one of the greatest scientists in history, Albert Einstein. But even though he had this nickname, Stephen felt different from everyone else. He didn't always enjoy the social side of school, but he loved learning. Stephen went to St. Albans School, which was an important part of his early education. He wasn't very good at sports or practical tasks like running or playing games, but he was amazing at solving problems and understanding math and science. While other kids played outside, Stephen spent hours reading books, thinking, and solving difficult problems in his mind. He loved learning about the stars, the planets, and how the world worked. Even though Stephen was very smart, he struggled a bit in other areas, like writing neatly or taking quick notes. But he wasn't discouraged. Instead of focusing on these small struggles, Stephen focused on his passion for science and mathematics. He loved asking big questions like, how does the universe work? Or, what happens when we look at stars through a telescope? These were the kinds of questions that would lead him to his greatest discoveries later in life. When Stephen was just 17 years old, he went to Oxford University, one of the most famous schools in the world. At that time, he was unsure of what to do with his life. But he knew one thing. He loved physics and mathematics. So he decided to study physics at Oxford. At Oxford, Stephen faced a lot of challenges. He was studying at one of the best schools in the world, but he was also feeling very uncertain about his future. He had to study hard and make important decisions about his career. But Stephen was determined. He was not the smartest student at Oxford, but he was the hardest worker. He put all his energy into his studies, and that's when his love for the mysteries of the universe began to grow even stronger. Now, let me tell you something very important about Stephen's life during this time. Even though he was brilliant, Stephen was very shy and quiet. He didn't talk much, and he didn't spend a lot of time with other students. Instead, he spent his time in the library studying and thinking. His mind was always busy, always thinking about how the universe worked and the questions that no one else seemed to be asking. He wanted to understand space, time, and everything about the universe. But Stephen's journey at Oxford was not just about studying. It was also about struggling with the challenges of life. Stephen's health began to change. When he was 21, he started to feel weaker and noticed that his body wasn't working like it used to. He began having trouble moving, walking, and even speaking clearly. His hands and legs became weak, and he often felt tired. At first, Stephen didn't know what was happening. He went to doctors, but no one could give him clear answers. Finally, after many tests, the doctors told him that he had a rare disease called amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, ALS, also known as Lou Gehrig's disease. This disease was very serious, and the doctors told Stephen that he didn't have much time left to live. The doctors said that he might only have a few more years to live, and his body would slowly stop working. Imagine hearing such terrible news when you are only 21 years old, full of dreams and plans for the future. It was heartbreaking. But Stephen didn't give up. He refused to let the disease stop him from living his life. Instead of feeling sorry for himself, he decided to focus even more on his studies and continue his work in science. Stephen's disease got worse over time, but his mind stayed sharp. He couldn't walk or talk easily, but he kept thinking about the big questions of the universe. His disease made it hard for him to move, but it never stopped him from thinking. As time passed, Stephen's condition became more and more challenging. His body was growing weaker, but his mind was sharper than ever. He didn't give up on life or on his passion for science, even though he was facing difficulties that most of us could never imagine. Stephen's disease, ALS, amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, was gradually taking away his ability to move his muscles. It took away his ability to walk, then it took away his ability to use his hands. But Stephen, being the incredible person he was, refused to let his body limit his mind. The world would see again and again that no matter the challenges he faced, he would never give up. As his body grew weaker, Stephen found a way to adapt. When he could no longer walk, he had to use a wheelchair to get around. But this wheelchair wasn't just a tool for him to move. It became a symbol of his strength and his refusal to be defeated by anything. The wheelchair, which many would see as a limitation, became part of what made Stephen so remarkable. In fact, the wheelchair helped him stay independent. He would travel to conferences, give lectures, and continue his research, despite the difficulties. People would look at him and see someone who had fought against the odds and refused to give in. Even though he couldn't speak in the traditional way, he found a way to communicate, which was another lesson for all of us. Adapt, learn, and never give up. The next major change in Stephen's life was when he started to lose his ability to speak. Imagine trying to express yourself, but your body simply won't allow you to speak the words. It was heartbreaking. However, Stephen did not give up on his desire to communicate with the world. In the mid-1980s, Stephen worked with a team of engineers to create a computer system that would help him communicate. The system was a special speech-generating device that used a synthesized voice. He would move a small muscle in his cheek to control the system, and with that small movement, he could type out words and speak. Stephen's new voice wasn't like a normal human voice. It sounded robotic and mechanical. But for Stephen, it was the key to continuing his work, his research, and his connection with the world. Even when others might have thought it was too hard, Stephen showed us that nothing is impossible when you refuse to give up. This device became a part of him, allowing him to continue giving public lectures and sharing his groundbreaking ideas. Despite his physical limitations, he still made sure the world could hear his thoughts on the universe and science. He became a true symbol of resilience. Even though Stephen's disease was taking a toll on his body, it was during these years that his scientific work truly began to shine. He wasn't just working on any regular projects. No, Stephen was tackling some of the most difficult and complex questions in the world of theoretical physics. He wanted to understand black holes, the nature of time, and the origin of the universe. One of his most famous contributions to science was his theory on black holes. Black holes are mysterious objects in space with a gravity so strong that nothing, not even light, can escape from them. For years, scientists believed that nothing could escape a black hole, but Stephen challenged this idea. In 1974, Stephen proposed that black holes could actually emit radiation. This was a revolutionary idea, and it became known as Hawking radiation. What he discovered was that black holes could lose mass and energy over time, which changed the way scientists understood these mysterious objects. This discovery made Stephen's name famous in the world of physics, and it was just the beginning of his many groundbreaking contributions. At the same time, Stephen was also working on understanding the nature of time. He began to develop a theory that combined general relativity, which explains how gravity works, and quantum mechanics, which explains how particles behave on a tiny scale. This was a huge challenge, and many scientists believed that no one would ever be able to solve these complex mysteries. He believed that if he could combine these two theories, it might help explain the Big Bang and the beginning of the universe. Over the years, Stephen's work gained recognition. He began to be invited to give lectures at universities all over the world. He became a celebrity scientist, known not only for his incredible intelligence but also for his incredible strength of character. He was awarded many honors, including being named a professor of mathematics at the University of Cambridge. This was one of the highest positions a scientist could have, and it was a testament to Stephen's brilliance and dedication to his work. Stephen's life wasn't just about science. He had a personal life too, and it had its ups and downs. In 1965, when Stephen was still in his early 20s, he met Jane Wilde, a student at the University of Cambridge. They fell in love, and in 1965, they got married. Together, they had 3 children, Robert, Lucy, and Tim. However, as Stephen's health began to decline, it became increasingly difficult for Jane to care for him and manage the family. Their marriage, which was once filled with love, began to face many challenges. In 1990, after 25 years of marriage, they decided to separate. Despite the end of their marriage, Stephen and Jane remained close friends, and they continued to co-parent their children together. In 1995, Stephen remarried Elaine Mason, one of his nurses. They were married for several years, but their relationship was also not without its difficulties. Despite the ups and downs in his personal life, Stephen continued to be a passionate scientist and a loving father to his children. Stephen's health continued to decline, but he never stopped working. He continued his research, giving lectures, and writing books. One of his most famous books, A Brief History of Time, was published in 1988. This book made complex ideas about the universe accessible to the general public, and it became a bestseller worldwide. In fact, it is one of the best-selling science books of all time. We need to focus on something that became his greatest gift to the world after his scientific discoveries: his words. Despite all the challenges he faced, Stephen Hawking used his voice to inspire millions of people around the world. His words were filled with hope, strength, and an unshakable belief that anything is possible. Even though Stephen's body was severely weakened by ALS, his voice never stopped making an impact. The speech-generating device he used became an important tool for him, allowing him to continue sharing his thoughts. His synthetic voice, which many considered robotic, carried wisdom and hope that touched people everywhere. One of Stephen's most powerful quotes is, "Look up at the stars and not down at your feet." This simple but deep statement tells us not to focus on the difficulties in our lives, but instead to dream big and focus on the limitless possibilities in front of us. He wanted us to understand that no matter how hard life gets, we should always strive to look forward, to reach for the stars, and to never stop dreaming. These words remind us to keep moving forward, even when things seem difficult. Stephen also once said, "Intelligence is the ability to adapt to change." This quote sums up his entire life. Stephen's life was full of unexpected changes, from his diagnosis with ALS to the struggles he faced every day just to stay alive. But through it all, he adapted. He found ways to continue working, speaking, and living. His ability to adapt to change was the reason he became a global symbol of strength. He showed the world that intelligence isn't just about knowing facts, but also about the ability to adapt, learn, and keep moving forward, no matter the obstacles. Stephen didn't just use his voice to share his thoughts about science. He also used his platform to talk about life itself. In many of his interviews and books, Stephen spoke about the importance of living a meaningful life. One of his famous quotes is, "The greatest enemy of knowledge is not ignorance, it is the illusion of knowledge." With this statement, he was telling us that we should never think we know everything. There is always something new to learn, and no matter how much we achieve, there is always more to discover. Another powerful message Stephen shared with the world was about the importance of curiosity. He said, "The more I learn, the more I realize how much I don't know." This is a beautiful reminder for all of us. No matter how successful or educated we become, there will always be more to explore, more to understand, and more to discover. Stephen's curiosity was endless. Even though his body was no longer able to move or speak like others, his mind was constantly exploring the mysteries of the universe, the nature of time, and the secrets of black holes. Stephen Hawking also spoke a lot about the future of humanity. He was a strong believer that the future of our planet depended on how we treated our environment and our technology. In many interviews, he warned that the future of humanity was uncertain and that it was important for us to take care of the Earth and avoid things like nuclear war and climate change. He once said, "We are not going to survive on Earth for another 1,000 years unless we spread into space." Stephen strongly believed that the future of humanity was in space exploration. He thought that humans needed to go beyond Earth, to the stars, to ensure our survival. One of the most powerful moments in Stephen's later life came when he published his book, The Grand Design, in 2010. In this book, Stephen presented a revolutionary idea that the universe could have come into existence without the need for a creator. This was a bold statement, and it sparked many debates. But Stephen wasn't afraid to share his ideas, no matter how controversial they were. He encouraged people to think about the universe with an open mind and to ask the big questions. Why are we here? And how did everything begin? He wanted people to understand that science could answer many of the world's biggest questions. Despite his illness and physical limitations, Stephen continued to give lectures, write books, and inspire people. His story taught the world that limitations don't define us. Passion, determination, and curiosity are the things that truly define us. You can overcome anything. Just look at Stephen Hawking. He faced the impossible every day, but he didn't give up. Instead, he showed us how to live a full life, even in the face of enormous challenges. Stephen also had a great sense of humor. Even when his body was no longer able to move, his sharp wit and humor remained intact. He loved to laugh, and he enjoyed telling jokes. One of his most famous jokes was when he said, "I have had the privilege of being married to two wonderful women, and I believe that this has greatly increased my understanding of the universe." This joke was not just about making people laugh. It showed how Stephen used humor to cope with his challenges. Laughter, for Stephen, was not just a way to entertain. It was a way to heal and keep going no matter what. Stephen's final years were filled with even more achievements. He continued to push the boundaries of science and technology. He collaborated with many brilliant minds, and his ideas about time and space continued to inspire future generations of scientists. His legacy is not only in the books he wrote and the theories he developed, but also in the lives of the countless people he inspired to never give up and to never stop learning. Stephen passed away on March 14, 2018, at the age of 76. But even though he is no longer physically with us, his impact on the world will never be forgotten. His life showed us that anything is possible when we choose to keep moving forward and never lose sight of our dreams. Stephen Hawking's life was a journey filled with extraordinary achievements, incredible struggles, and lessons that continue to inspire people worldwide. As we reach the final part of his story, we reflect on the deep impact Stephen Hawking has had on the world, not just through his groundbreaking scientific contributions, but through the powerful message he left behind, a message of determination, hope, and the power of the human spirit. When Stephen was first diagnosed with ALS, many doctors believed he had only a few years to live. The disease was progressive, and it slowly robbed him of his ability to move, speak, and care for himself. But Stephen proved everyone wrong. Instead of giving in to his physical limitations, he chose to fight for his life, his passion, and his curiosity. He refused to be defined by his condition and dedicated every moment to the pursuit of knowledge. Stephen didn't just survive, he thrived. He once said, "While there's life, there is hope." This quote encapsulates his entire life philosophy. No matter how difficult life became, Stephen always believed there was a way forward. Every day was a new opportunity to learn something new, to understand the universe a little better, and to make the world a brighter place. He didn't allow adversity to be the end of his journey. It became the very thing that pushed him to achieve even greater things. In the face of physical pain, the loss of speech, and the challenges of everyday tasks, Stephen showed the world what true strength looks like. He didn't complain, he didn't give up. He worked tirelessly with a relentless spirit to complete his theories and to continue pushing the boundaries of what was thought possible in the fields of theoretical physics and cosmology. Stephen's message was clear. No matter what life throws at you, you have the power to overcome it. He wasn't just a scientist. He was a symbol of resilience. His life was an ongoing testament to the power of human willpower and determination. His brilliance and drive were not limited by the confines of his body. Instead, his mind was free, and he used it to touch the lives of millions. In his words, "We are all different, but we share the same human spirit." This quote serves as a powerful reminder that despite our differences, whether it's physical, intellectual, or cultural, We all share the same potential for greatness. Stephen's life also taught us that our mental strength is just as important as our physical strength. He didn't have the ability to move freely, but his mind was as powerful as any scientist in history. His story is a reminder that no matter what we go through, our minds can take us places our bodies may not be able to. Your mind is your most powerful tool, and if you focus on developing it, you can achieve anything. Stephen Hawking's life is a call to action. It tells us to never let our limitations stop us. It encourages us to chase our dreams, to look beyond the stars, and to keep searching for answers to the universe's greatest mysteries. Stephen taught us that the greatest discoveries aren't just about science, they are about the human spirit, the courage to face the unknown, and the ability to rise above adversity. As we look back on Stephen Hawking's life, we can find inspiration in every step he took. His story is one of unshakable determination, boundless curiosity, and a refusal to give up. He is a living example of the power of the human mind and the extraordinary things that can happen when we choose to keep going, even when the odds are against us. So, the next time you face a challenge in your life, remember Stephen Hawking. Remember that no matter what happens, you have the ability to adapt, to grow, and to achieve greatness. Just like Stephen, you too can make an impact on the world, no matter how difficult the journey may seem. Now think about your own life. What dreams have you set aside? What goals have you told yourself are too big or too impossible? The truth is, the only limits that exist are the ones you place on yourself. No one else can define your future but you. There will be hard days. There will be moments when you feel like giving up. But never forget, every setback is an opportunity to grow stronger. Every challenge is a chance to learn, to adapt, to push beyond your limits and discover just how much you're capable of. Look at your dreams and let them fuel you. Don't wait for the perfect moment. The perfect moment may never come. Start now. Take the first step, even if it's small. Your journey won't be easy, but it will be worth it. And with each step you take, you'll get closer to the life you're meant to create. Remember, you are capable. You are strong. You are unstoppable. The world needs what you have to offer. You have the power to make a difference, just as Stephen Hawking did. So no matter where you are today, no matter how far away your dreams may seem, keep going. And when you're feeling discouraged, when you think the road is too hard, think of Stephen. Think of how he transformed the impossible into the possible. His life shows us that with enough determination, the only thing standing in the way of your success is you. You are the key to unlocking your future. So, go after your dreams with everything you have. Don't let anything or anyone stop you. This world is full of challenges, but it is also full of unlimited potential. And that potential starts with you. Believe in yourself. Keep moving forward. And know that, like Stephen, you can leave a legacy that will inspire the world for generations to come. The world is waiting for your extraordinary story. Now go and make it happen.